What is National Indigenous People's Day in Canada? Is it different from Canada Day? How do I know which one I should be celebrating? Do you really want to celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day, but you don't? Maybe you don't know what it is, or if you're even allowed, or maybe you don't know how to even celebrate it. Not knowing these answers can prevent you from celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day to the fullest. So keep on watching to learn the answer to these questions. Hi there, I'm Mallory. Welcome back to the Tribal Trade channel, where we share new videos every single week about smudging, Indigenous culture, and Native teachings. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you never miss a new video. Whether you're Indigenous or a non-Indigenous supporter and want to participate in Indigenous Peoples Day celebrations, you likely experience some of the challenges we talk about in today's video. To find out exactly what these challenges are in celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day and how you can overcome them so that you can not only celebrate but make the most out of Indigenous Peoples Day, then keep on watching. At Tribal Trade Co., we've helped tens of thousands of people to learn about and connect with Indigenous culture. And Indigenous Peoples Day is an amazing way to do that. But there's a lot of confusion surrounding the difference between National Indigenous Peoples Day in Canada and Canada Day. While both are celebrated in Canada, they have a few very important differences. That's why today I'm answering 5 key questions about Indigenous Peoples Day versus Canada Day. The first question in making the most out of your Indigenous Peoples Day is understanding what is Indigenous Peoples Day versus Canada Day. To start off, both days are national holidays in Canada. However, they celebrate different things. National Indigenous Peoples Day is a day to celebrate the history, heritage, and diversity of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people in Canada. It started in 1996. Canada Day, however, started long before Indigenous Peoples Day. July 1st, 1867 is the day the British North American Act formally joined the colonies, creating the semi-independent Dominion of Canada. That's why you might also hear Canada Day called Dominion Day. In 1982, Canada became fully independent, and July 1st has become a kind of Independence Day ever since. So to put it simply, Canada Day celebrates the independence of the entire country, whereas Indigenous Peoples Day specifically celebrates Indigenous people and culture. The second question you might not know the answer to in celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day versus Canada Day is who can celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day versus who can celebrate Canada Day. This answer is the same for both celebrations, and the answer is anyone. Whether you're Indigenous, mixed background, non-Indigenous, an Indigenous ally, a Canadian, an American, or an immigrant, you can celebrate both Indigenous Peoples Day or Canada Day, or both. All you need to know is how to celebrate appropriately, which we will talk about in the rest of this video. The third question that you might not know the answer to in understanding how to celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day versus celebrating Canada Day is when and where do you celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day, and when and where do you celebrate Canada Day? Indigenous Peoples Day and Canada Day are both Canadian holidays, but they can be celebrated anywhere. If you're an Indigenous person, an ally, or someone with ties to Canada, you can celebrate either day wherever you are. Indigenous Peoples Day is celebrated on June 21st. The Government of Canada chose this date because it is the summer solstice, which many Indigenous people and communities have used as a day to celebrate their culture because of the significance of the summer solstice as being the longest day of the year. Canada Day is celebrated on July 1st because, again, this is the day recognized as the day Canada became independent as an independent country. Do you celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day or Canada Day? What do you celebrate? Or do you celebrate both? Please share with us in the comments below. The fourth question you might not know the answer to in choosing to celebrate Canada Day versus Indigenous Peoples Day is how you actually celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day. What are the celebrations like? How do you actually celebrate? There's no wrong or right way to celebrate Indigenous Peoples' Day as long as you are being respectful of Indigenous culture and people. If you want to learn more about what that means and how to be a good Indigenous ally, then watch this video right here. There are a few main ways most people celebrate these days. Canada Day is often celebrated with parades, displays of the Canadian flag, fireworks, and singing the national anthem. It's a patriotic holiday. Indigenous Peoples' Day is a time to celebrate Indigenous communities, heritage, and culture. What that looks like varies from person to person, however. Indigenous people recognize Indigenous Peoples' Day by celebrating the culture through gatherings, community, and traditions. Whether you're Indigenous or not, one way to celebrate Indigenous Peoples' Day is to engage with the culture, learn about it, or engage with members of the community. You might spend the day learning more about Indigenous people. You might visit an Indigenous art exhibit or performance, or make a purchase from an Indigenous creator. There are many ways to celebrate both days, but both days give you the opportunity to create your own ways to celebrate. Now, the fifth question that you might not know the answer to in celebrating Indigenous Peoples' Day versus Canada Day is, how do you know which to celebrate? Can you celebrate both days? Is that culturally appropriate? How can you celebrate Indigenous Peoples' Day without offending Canadians who aren't on board with Indigenous Peoples' Day, and vice versa? How can you celebrate Canada Day and all of the trauma that Indigenous people have associated with that day without offending your Indigenous friends? And how can you celebrate Canada Day as an Indigenous person without offending your Indigenous friends and family? Can you celebrate both? And can you celebrate both without offending someone from certain groups of your family or your friends? So you can absolutely celebrate both days. You don't have to be Indigenous to celebrate Indigenous Peoples' Day, and you don't have to be Canadian to celebrate Canada Day. You don't have to be a strong Indigenous advocate to go against celebrating Canada Day. Both of these days are about celebrating history and culture of Canada in different ways. They're not mutually exclusive. However, maybe one day feels more important to you than the other, or you can identify with one more than the other. It's totally up to you if you decide to celebrate one or both or neither holiday. The most important thing is to educate yourself about these important days in Canadian culture and learn what they mean so that you can honor them properly. By watching this video, you've already learned the answer to 5 important questions about Indigenous Peoples' Day in Canada versus Canada Day. Now you'll know which day or days to celebrate this summer and exactly how to spend your days. If you like this video, be sure to like it, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss a video about Indigenous culture, history, Indigenous people, and all that fun stuff. Now, I would love to know, what are you going to do this year for Indigenous Peoples' Day, and what are you going to do this year for Canada Day? Let us know in the comments below. As you know, the last few years, celebrating Canada Day has been somewhat controversial with the uncovering of the Indigenous children's graves from residential schools. This makes the decision to celebrate Canada Day somewhat personal, depending on if you want to stand with Indigenous people and the residential school survivors and the children that did not make it home, or if you want to celebrate Canada Day in a way that is more positive. It's totally up to you. I hope that this video was able to help you make your decision in how you want to spend these 2 holidays. Please let me know what your thoughts are in terms of celebrating Canada Day as an Indigenous person, as an Indigenous ally. Should you celebrate Canada Day or should you not? If you're someone who thinks you should celebrate Canada Day as an Indigenous ally or as an Indigenous person, comment below with "I'm celebrating Canada Day" or something like that. If you think that you should not celebrate Canada Day to strongly represent and to honor the Every Child Matters campaigns and the Indigenous children who did not make it home from residential school, then comment below with I do not want to celebrate Canada Day. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a great day.